What is his motivation? Can you get into his head a little for me?
Well, no, no, I'm not a huge fan. I don't know. I think a lot of what people do on both sides is motivated by seeking money and fame.
But what? This is the way to do it? This is how? I mean, couldn't he still be on Fox?
Look, I mean, he went over there and said, Moscow is this amazing city because the trains run on time.
Right.
I'm like, isn't that what they said about Hitler
and Mussolini? Yeah.
Mussolini, like a fascist. Like,
right.
Yeah, okay, so the trains run on time, but people are being literally, killed in prison because they have an opinion. That's not a great country.
I think you can say.
The heated exchange between Ann Coulter and Bill Maher ignited during a spirited panel discussion when Coulter challenged the motives of those who publicly praise Russia while ignoring its well-documented crimes. Suggesting that financial and personal gain might be driving such rhetoric, she criticized what she saw as hypocrisy among self-proclaimed patriots who align with authoritarian regimes. Maher, never one to back down from controversy, escalated the discussion by drawing comparisons to historical fascist sympathizers. The debate quickly intensified, exposing deep ideological divides and reigniting the broader conversation about moral consistency in political discourse. Watch this fascinating debate unfold. Unfold.
This abortion is really hurting Republicans. I don't think you can blame all Republicans for this. I'm glad it was overturned by the Supreme Court. I think I'm a pro-life zealot. I think it was disgusting to call that a constitutional right, but it has been sent back to the states. That's all we ever wanted. And guess what, fellow pro-lifers? We're getting slaughtered. There have been 7 direct-to-the-people votes, and the tiniest restriction on abortion loses overwhelmingly in Montana, in Kentucky, states that Trump won, but Kansas, 20 points. And it isn't Republicans per se, I think, pushing this. It is these pro-life zealots who they don't care. I'm going to be pure. And did you see my write-up in the Catholic Insights magazine? And, you guys, you're like the corporate Republicans who will not give up on their cheap labor. We have to tell them, we can give you some things, but we can't give you everything, or we're just gonna lose.
Well, what a great way to end this segment, because I got 5 seconds. Perfect timing. Thank you, CNN. Thank you, panel. We'll see you next week.
The political fallout from overturning Roe v. Wade has ignited intense debate, particularly over its impact on the Republican Party's electoral fortunes. Bill Maher and Van Jones argue that the decision has backfired, pointing to significant GOP losses in ballot initiatives, even in conservative states like Kansas, Kentucky, and Montana. While Republicans achieved a long-sought Supreme Court victory, the backlash has been swift, with voters rejecting even modest abortion restrictions at the polls. Ann Coulter, a staunch pro-life advocate, acknowledges the political unpopularity of strict abortion laws and openly criticizes pro-life zealots for ignoring the broad electoral consequences. While she supports the Supreme Court's decision to return the issue to the states, she warns that an uncompromising stance could continue to cost Republicans elections. Coulter stresses the need for pragmatism, arguing that the movement must find a balance between ideological purity and what voters are actually willing to support. This debate highlights a core tension within the Republican Party, the challenge of reconciling deeply held values with electoral realities. While overturning Roe was a landmark conservative victory, it has also become a political liability, forcing the GOP to navigate a complex landscape where public opinion on abortion is far more nuanced than party platforms often reflect.
You can say that people are motivated by money and fame if they were on Fox News. The Fox News that then had to pay $700 million in defamation. I would say you can read it on my Substack first, or wait for Fox to pay a $700 million defamation judgment.
All right. Gene, what explains the gender divide in politics? Why are young women skewing, oh yes, I've read this, more liberal, like by 30 points? Then young men are getting more conservative and young women are getting more liberal. What is your generational view on that?
Yeah, so I mean, that's from a big national survey of 18-year-olds, and young men have become considerably more conservative over time, young women a little bit more liberal. So there's just a growing gender gap when it comes to that. The why question is always a hard one to answer in any of this type of research. It could certainly maybe have something to do with abortion rights. It may also be on the right, the existence of Andrew Tate and some of those commentators who try to make masculinity into this almost game that young men may be responding to, even though that's maybe not the way they should be going.
The widening gender gap in political alignment, where young men are trending more conservative while young women become increasingly liberal, reflects steep societal shifts. Dr. Jean Twenge attributes this divide to key factors, including the prominence of abortion rights, which resonate strongly with young women, and the influence of figures like Andrew Tate, whose hypermasculine rhetoric appeals to young men. These trends underscore how polarizing social issues and influential personalities shape the political views of younger generations. Bill Maher suggests that the transition from a labor-based economy to an information-driven society has disrupted traditional masculine roles. Physical labor and brawny skills, once central to male identity, have lost societal importance, while communication and collaboration, areas where women often excel, have become more valued. As a result, many young men feel disconnected and undervalued, fueling their shift toward conservative ideologies. Van Jones adds another layer to the discussion, arguing that progressive rhetoric often frames masculinity as inherently toxic, alienating young men who might otherwise lean liberal. This creates a push effect, driving them toward conservative spaces or figures like Tate, who validate traditional masculine identities. Without inclusive narratives or positive role models, young men may feel increasingly unwelcome in progressive movements, deepening the political divide.
I also think that there's something happening on the progressive side that it feels like almost all masculinity is considered toxic.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I think the young men may not feel welcome. Like if you're,
true.
In other words, I don't think it's so much of a pull of an Andrew Tate, though that's playing a role. I think it just may be a push. Like if you show up and you want to be just like a regular, guy's guy, you just may not be eating enough kale and doing enough yoga to fit in on the left.
That's true. Just being a man is a little suspect. Yeah, no, and I think this winds up being not good for women either, because I don't think women like that. Well, I mean,
right.
I mean, the rhetoric may be one thing, but at the end of the day, I know we're all gay and we're all fluid now and we're all trans and but a lot of people are still the old school. There was
the old school from 12 years ago.
Well, there was a default setting, right. And a lot of women, I think, still want a man to be a man, not an abusive man, but just a man.
Yes.
Yes, I remember.
Hey, you're canceled. How dare you?
Modern society presents significant challenges to traditional masculinity, leaving many young men feeling alienated as their historical roles lose relevance. The panel discussed this growing disconnection, noting how traditional male virtues, such as physical strength and labor, have been devalued in an economy that prioritizes intellectual and communicative skills, areas where women often excel. As a result, many young men struggle to find their footing in a rapidly evolving world. A key figure in this conversation is Andrew Tate, whose hypermasculine ideology has made him both an influential and controversial voice. His message resonates with young men searching for clarity and validation in a society they feel dismisses traditional male roles. However, his rhetoric has also drawn sharp criticism for promoting toxic masculinity, adding complexity to the debate over what modern masculinity should look like. The decline of physical labor and traditionally male-dominated roles has deepened the gender divide, fueling an identity crisis among men. Without clear positive role models or societal validation for their evolving contributions, many young men feel excluded. This sense of displacement has led some toward conservative ideologies or figures like Tate, who offer a return to traditional masculine values. As society grapples with these tensions, important questions remain. How can we redefine masculinity in a way that acknowledges change while fostering inclusivity? And what role should modern institutions play in guiding young men toward a sense of purpose in today's world? What do you think? I don't shout to you dance. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more discussions on today's most pressing issues. Thanks for watching.